Hey, good evening, and welcome to Let's Talk to Sports. This is our pro football review show for Week One, and I just want to say, as a football fan, it did not disappoint. The games that we thought was going to be exciting were exciting. I think a couple teams got ahead of themselves from last year, and they came in this year thinking that teams are going to walk on it. And it's not overreaction Monday, but it's interesting. 16 games to go, so whether your team is 0-1 now or 1-0, it can change just like that. Has some real tough injuries, man. I saw a real tough injury. Guy might have broke his foot. Prayers up for him. So without further ado, my illustrious co-host and partner in crime, Dwayne. Um, you were all over the place today, man. You were doing a lot of moving. You finally home, as they say. You finally settled, and you were not as excited for this Sunday night game as you were excited for all the rest of the games. But what a way to unwind. The AFC, I mean, excuse me, the NFC West has definitely showed everybody why they are the best division in football. If anybody has any doubts about that, I don't know what they're watching. But let's talk about these games, man.
Hey man, it's like Christmas Day, man. Like you see all the gifts up under the tree. You just can't wait to rip it open and see what you got. And I got everything I wanted for Christmas, man. I got it all.
Well,
Uh,
I'll do it because I know where you use the list that you usually use the list from. Let's just talk about right off the bat the Falcons and the Eagles.
hey man, the Eagles are the leaders of the NFC East.
They surprised me. They surprised me a lot. They showed a lot in their offense, which is interesting. I did pick the Falcons earlier. The
Uh,
Falcons, you just don't know with them. I actually saw some of the game. I saw Calvin Ridley get two offensive pass interferences that he had nothing to do with the play, and it's surprising knowing where he played college football at, and he's been in the league long enough for him to be so undisciplined. Um, but I'm really the Eagles really impressed to win on the. I don't care how good your team is or how bad your team is, and who you root for or who you don't root for. To win on in the NFL on the road is hard,
it's hard to do it,
no
man.
matter no matter who you playing. So the Eagles, big conference win at the end of the day. And you know that it may come down. You may be 9-8, and you're trying to squeak in there, and you need them
Yeah, man.
conference wins. So
Hey,
big
Jalen
win for the
Hurts.
Eagles.
Jalen Hurts looked good today. He did what he had to do. He moved the offense. He made some good throws. He made some throws that he probably wishes that he could have back. But hey, 27 to 35 for 264, three touchdowns, no interception.
And
Nice debut.
it's always going to be a big question, Dwayne, with Atlanta. Should they have got a quarterback over the Pitts?
Yeah, I mean, nice debut for the rookie Devontae Smith, 6 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. You know, Miles Sanders, 74 yards. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, 62 yards on the ground.
Yeah,
So that
and I
264,
watch like I told you, I watched some of the
62
game.
on the ground, man.
They did do some runs, but a lot of the broken plays he was able to get up out of there, and that's where a lot of people his athleticism can save him from getting hits and
Yeah.
getting nicked up. So that's a good thing
So
for them.
listen, it's week one. We don't want to overreact. We don't want to underreact either, though. So the Eagles are in the lead of the NFC East after one game, 16 games to go. I thought the Falcons would win it. They didn't. Kudos to Nick Sirianni for getting his first win as NFL head coach.
Yeah, definitely, and getting that road win early.
Yeah.
Well, our next game is the Buffalo Bills and the Steelers. We both picked Buffalo, Dwayne.
Pick Buffalo. I thought it would be one of the games of the day, and it was. Uh, what can you say about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers? They hang around. They hang around. They hang around. They take body blows. They take punches, but they keep it together. And at the end of the day, you look up, and it's a win.
One
Now,
one of the things that the Steelers did, and I know that Ben is basically on his last hurrah. But one of the things that the Steelers did was they did draft a running back, and they did show you that you can win football by playing solid defense and ball control. And I know that Brother Walker was highly upset with Buffalo and their lack of running. Allen threw for over 50 pass attempts once again.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, Big Ben 18 of 32 for 188. That's Big Ben. He's not a fantasy quarterback.
mhm.
He just stays around. He's gutty. 16 for 45 from Najee Harris, who I love. Not a big offensive display by the Steelers, man, but it doesn't have to be when you play good defense. They score with specials. The special team scored. Um, Field goals, block punt, field goal. I mean, they only had one offensive touchdown, and they won the game.
Yeah, and that's the way they got to play. The Steelers have to play that what we would consider a muddied up game.
Yeah,
That's the
they
way
got
they're
to
going to
muddy it
play.
up. And I know, we got people that says, Buffalo doesn't have a running game. They're starting the third. I don't totally agree with that. Um, Singletary did average 6.5 yards a carry today. He had 11 carries for 72 yards. He can't call the plays.
I think
You
Dwayne.
know,
I think that's the thing. I think you had like Singletary last year. It's just that they just abandoned the run, and we know that it's a quarterback driven league, and usually passing is how you get the points. But you have to develop some balance because no matter what type of quarterback you have, you're going to prone to make some mistakes, make it a strip sack or whatever. And
absolutely.
as you always say, you just give them defensive linemen an opportunity to pin their ears back and just tee off on your quarterback.
51 passes is a lot. He was 30 of 51 for 270 and a touchdown. Um, Again, Steelers just hang around, man. They hang around. They take their body blows. They hang around, man. And then next
Coach
thing,
never had a losing season. Let's get that. Let's let
no,
everybody know that don't know. Mike
they,
Tomlin has never had a losing
listen.
season.
They trailed 10-0 at the half. They didn't panic. They were down 10-6 after three. They didn't panic. They scored 17 points in the fourth quarter.
On the road.
Scored 17
On the
points in
road.
the fourth quarter on the road. You gotta, as my man Mark Tribble would say, hats off. I take my hats off to them for
Yeah.
pulling that out.
Yeah. Our next game, I know we both picked Minnesota. It's the Vikings and the Bengals, and it may be time. It may
Very,
be time, Dwayne.
very disappointed in this one. Kirk Cousins, I can't say he played bad. I mean, he was 36 or 49 for 351 yards, two touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, 20 carries, 61 yards. It's just the Vikings, they will make it seem like they have a great defense. But when it's time to go, their defense just doesn't make plays, man. Like they
Hmm.
got off. Now listen, the Bengals played from ahead the majority of this game, man. The Vikings came on late, but Joe Barrow, Joe Mixon, the two Joes, they did what they had to do. Mixon, 29 carries, 127 yards, and a touchdown. So, I thought Zach Taylor was on a hot seat coming into the season. I still think he is. But you got to give him credit, man.
I'm really disappointed in Minnesota myself. They're further ahead in their program than the Bengals. They took a step back last year because they wanted to retool their defense, and like you said, that you got a coming back quarterback coming back from a ACL. You know that they were going to coach it close to the vest, and they still got beat by a team like the Bengals. So big
Mhm.
win for the Bengals. Big win, big hurdle for the young quarterback to get through the mental of coming back from a big injury. Um, I think that and I know we ain't gonna jump out the window and say nothing crazy. I think that a lot of people said a lot of things about the NFC East being the worst division. The early returns after Week 1, that NFC North might be a little interesting to take a look at. Because this was one bad loss, and we'll talk about the other two teams that lost, and then tonight's game. Moving right along, man, and we could jump right into the other team in the NFC North, the 49ers and the Lions. That game was well within hand. 49ers let them come back a little late. Like I said, how I feel about the 49ers. I think Mosert's injury, I don't know how bad it is, but the 49ers, if you look at what happened to them last year with injuries, just them being healthy will give them a 10-win team. They have a lot of talent,
Right.
well coached team. Even though I'm not a big fan of the coach, he does know what he's doing. Ball control, play good defense, solid. Don't turn the ball over. Don't put the quarterback in harm's way. I was a little disturbed that they took Garoppolo out, put the young fella in. I don't like that. I just don't think that that's fair to either quarterback to play these games. Go with who you think is the best quarterback. This two quarterback system, I've never been a fan of it. I think it's
Yeah,
just
I think they got specific packages that they're gonna use Trey Lance in. I mean, he had 3 carries for 2 yards, and he threw one ball for 5 yards and was a touchdown. So I think in red zone, sort of like how the Saints use Taysom Hill, that's what they're gonna do with Trey Lance. I think Garoppolo is the undoubted number one quarterback right now. 17 to 25 for 314 and one touchdown. So if they're doing it with just packages, I don't have a problem with it. As much as when I first saw that he threw a touchdown pass, I wasn't sure what that was all about. But 49ers, a Debo Samuels, man, 9 catches, 189 yards. Their run game, Mitchell, 19 carries for 104. Like you said, Mozart got a little hurt, banged up, and he was averaging 10 yards a carry. One thing I give Detroit credit for, they didn't quit. They kept fighting, and they had a chance down 8 with the ball to potentially do something. But as we all know, it's a passing league, and we were talking about Josh Allen throwing the ball 51 times, Dak Prescott throwing it 58 times. Jared Goff threw the ball 57 times today. Now, a lot of
too
that
much.
probably was because they were coming from behind, but 57 is not a good balance when you rush it 24 times. And that just may be today's NFL. But if you're looking at this game right now, look what the run will do for you. Look at the run.
I'm not watching it.
Yeah, the Bears just ripped off, had a hell of a kickoff return, and then first play, 41-yard gain, running the ball. You still run the ball in this league. It can happen. But that's
But we're
it.
gonna
Niners
move
move on.
move on to the next game. The Cardinals and the Titans, a game that me and you both called. We didn't expect Kyler Murray to do what he did, but we expected a blowout.
We did. We
We
called it.
expected the Cardinals defense to show up. You told me a specific celebrity wants to tweet about Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones has always been good.
Always.
Chandler Jones was good in New England. Chandler Jones was good when the Cardinals were not that good. Now that he has J.J. Watt around him, and he has a linebacker around him, and he has Simmons around him, and Buda Baker around him. He missed all of last year because of injury. Now people are going to see what happens when Chandler Jones can just pin his ears back and get a quarterback. So, um, like I said, Arizona's defense, I'm very impressed. Dwayne is giving me the look like something just happened. You could say it, Dwayne.
Justin Fields has entered the building.
Oh,
First pass as a pro, he zips it. I'm trying to figure out why they took Andy Dalton out. Again, you got these coaches. Okay, so he threw one ball and then he comes off the field. I don't understand that from Matt Nagy. You know, you give them you bring them in on a 2nd and 10 from the 14, and then you take him off on 3rd and 1, right? You would think he would keep him in on 3rd and 1 because he's an athletic quarterback. And yeah, I don't know. Let's keep going. Sorry.
So that's the Cardinals and the Titans. I think that the Titans is going to
Well,
take
Titans, like we said this morning, man, you got to show me that they're going to be the #1 offense in the league with Ryan Tannehill running the show. 21 to 35 for 212 yards, 1 touchdown.
That's too many passes for Ryan Tannehill. They gotta play. They gotta limit his passes to 20 passes a game. Lot of Henry. He's probably arguably the best running back in the league. A couple play action passes, possession receiver with Julio, and then AJ is the deep threat. I don't get why they're getting enamored. A lot of these teams, they always do it. They start looking at their skill players and start wanting to get cute. Don't get cute. Do what has gotten you good the last couple years, Tennessee. Don't forget. And I think they're going to struggle because they lost a lot of players on their defense the last couple years.
They did. But Kyler Murray, 21 to 32, 289 yards. 4 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but we called it. I didn't get a lot right today, but I got that right.
So this next game you got right. Seattle and the Colts. I had picked the Colts. You picked Seattle. Like I said, these two teams are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, once again, doing what they do. Seattle usually tells you what type of year they're going to have, how they start off the first month of the season. They're a very, very interesting team. So I look for Seattle as well as the rest of their division to be really, really strong until they play each other. They're going to beat each other up because that division is hands down the best division in football. The Colts, interesting thing because the Colts and Tennessee are the favorites to win that division. But right now we have arguably probably the worst team in the NFL from what most projected people have said about leading that division. So it's going to be interesting going forward. Like I said, it's only week 1, so we ain't jumping out no window.
But just like week 1, Andy Dalton throws an interception in the end zone. Andy Dalton's going to be Andy Dalton, man.
That's so this next
Justin Fields.
Next game.
Let me just say this, man. Chris Carson may be one of the most underrated running backs in the league. 16 carries today, 91 yards. He just gets it done. Lockett, who I think is the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL.
If
anybody asks Quentin, he'll tell you that I say this every year. I'm consistent every year. 4 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he never gets mentioned as a top flight wide receiver.
I'll just say this. Don't look at stats, but if you ever watch Seattle, you will see Lockett always makes a big catch. He does it every single year. Lockett will make a catch. He'll catch a reverse. Russ about to get sacked, throw it up. Lockett is a small guy. He'll come from out of nowhere. He just when they do these crazy trick plays with tight ends and kickers throwing the ball, it's Lockett on the receiving end. Just it's an interesting thing because he always makes plays.
Always.
This next game, Dwayne. The LA Chargers and the Washington football team. I know you're happy, patting yourself on the back. The Washington football team, the team you and myself both despise the most. They are up there with the Braves for you and the Boston Red Sox for me. We just don't like them. They've been touting this defense and saying they have the greatest defensive line since the Eagles of the 90s, the Steel Curtain, the 85 Bears, and this defensive line couldn't get pressure. If you give any quarterback the amount of time, that secondary is suspect. The Chargers actually only scoring 20 points was bad because they stayed in the red zone all game.
They in the red zone. And For as good as the Washington football team front seven allegedly is how terrible that back end is. And if they do not get pressure on the quarterback, you're going to see a lot of 31 for 47 for 337 yards. You're going to see a lot of that. And they also gave up 90 yards rushing. Okay? And this vaunted sack exchange, like the New York Jets sack exchange, again, only week one, but 2 sacks for -3 yards. So you hate to see somebody get hurt. Fitzmagic got hurt today, and they went to Henneke. Henneke was 11 of 15 for 122 and a touchdown. Fitzpatrick, before he got hurt, 3 of 6. Scary Terry going to be who he is. 4 catches, 62 yards. And that's it, man. The Washington football team. Well, I'll wait till after.
I know a lot of speculation has said that they try to sign Cam Newton. I doubt it very serious because of Ron Rivera used to coach Cam Newton. They got a great relationship, but Ron Rivera has a compromised immune system. He's a cancer survivor, and as of right now, we don't think that Cam Newton is vaccinated. And Ron Rivera has been adamant with getting his players vaccinated, feeling he's very pro-vaccine, and he feels like the players need to do better to protect themselves from COVID. He feels as though it shouldn't be any problem. So we doubt that they would sign Cam Newton. But it'd be interesting because they did give Henneke some extra money over the summer, which they might have been trying to protect themselves. He had him in Carolina, so going forward, we're gonna watch and see if they pick him up because they already said Fitzpatrick is going to be out multiple weeks. Dwayne,
the Chicago Bears defense forgot that today is Sunday and not Saturday. And when a person goes to a ground, if he's not touched, he can get back up and score. You had 2 defenders that didn't touch the wide receiver that fell on the ground, and he got up and ran it in for a touchdown because they didn't touch him down.
The next game is going to be the Jets, the New York Football Jets against the Carolina Panthers. I said that Carolina would blow the Jets out. Jets actually hung in there.
Jets would win.
Dwayne's favorite coach in the NFL right now, Matt Rule, who drafted all defensive players last year. Their defense had 6 sacks coming along. Christian McCaffrey had a monster game. Christian McCaffrey is the early favorite for skill position MVP.
Absolutely.
If he can get MVP outside of those quarterbacks, he will be MVP because he had almost 200 all-purpose yards.
21 for 98 from the ground, 9 for 89 through the air. Enough said.
When you have a running back that could do that, that's just incredible because you have to account for him with at least 2 players.
The rookie, Zach Wilson, got off to a little bit of a slow start, but he did finish 20 of 37 for 258 and 2 touchdowns. Big offseason acquisition, someone that I love dearly. Corey Davis rode a boat, 5 catches, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a number 1, folks. Tennessee just never used him as a number 1. The Jets will. I like Robert Saleh. I like what they're building. It was a tough day for Mekhi Becton today. He'll bounce back from it. Give Matt Rule, give Sam Darnold a revenge game against his former team. Give him credit. Ugly game. Wasn't worth watching. I'm just being honest. I love football. That wasn't worth watching.
And our next game is probably the biggest upset of the day. I would say
for me it was.
Jacksonville, Houston.
Let me just say this, and I said it on a live that I did on my Facebook page. It's time for people to start respecting Tyrod Taylor. I said it this morning too. The guy's a pro. He's a pro. And we get all these people that love Ryan Fitzpatrick, Kirk Cousins. You hear these names, and they don't afford the same thing for Tyrod Taylor. 21 of 33, 291 yards, 2 touchdowns, 40 yards on the ground. Mark Ingram today, 28 for 85 and 1. Kudos to Cully, It's his first opportunity. He's a little bit older to be getting his first opportunity. He's been put into an organization that it's going to be very difficult for him to win. But for today, he has one in the W top column and zero in the L. So congratulations to him on his first NFL win.
I'm gonna skip down a couple games because you segue into understanding who Tyrod Taylor is, and the next guy is a quarterback who most people don't give credit for. And we're gonna go to the Denver Giant game, and same thing with Teddy Bridgewater. It seems like these guys are just good professionals. They run whatever system that they've been in, they run that system to perfection, and it
Perfect.
seems like they always get booted out for what people think is quote unquote better. And I happened to watch a lot of the Giant game, and Teddy actually he ran the offense, man.
Listen, they lived in the Giants' red zone all day. They should have scored more than 27 points.
A team that me and you both feel the Giants have a very good defense.
Absolutely. And they were in the red zone all day. It should have been worse than what the final score was. Teddy Bridgewater, 28 of 36 for 264 and two touchdowns. Two
And
headed
midway through the third quarter, he lost the number one receiver on their team,
right,
probably to a broken foot.
probably because he had 6 catches, 72 yards before that. They got two-headed monster at running back, Melvin Gordon the third, 101 on the ground.
The Melvin Gordon, you
The
guys.
Melvin Gordon, the rookie Williams, 14 carries, 45 yards. And folks, man, a lot of people think I do a lot of New York Giant hate because I'm a Cowboy fan and all that. Daniel Jones does not know how to protect the ball.
I saw a couple people because we're from the New York area, and I saw a lot of people tweeting talking about the coaching got to get together, blaming the offensive coordinator. And the first thing I said to myself when I seen it was, okay, I'm not gonna get involved in their social media posts and make them think that I want to argue because I don't want to really argue sports with anybody.
No,
But I
that's
thought I said that to myself. Daniel Dimes did exactly what he always does. I mean, what has he shown anybody that he can take it to the next level? He is a turnover waiting to happen. We felt the same way about another quarterback we'll discuss later who had a big day, but Daniel Dimes has never shown that he is could be a great pocket passer. Great athlete, yes.
yes.
Pocket passer, having presence, he's never shown that. I don't know why people feel as though he was going to be the next great thing in the NFC East, let alone in the Giant organization.
2 sacks, 13 yards. Now I say that to say, the Giants have a much maligned offensive line, and they still do. They only got to him 2 times, but there was a lot of pressure. There's a lot of times where Daniel Jones had to slide. There's a lot of times where Daniel Jones had to take off. And I don't think the New York Giants have addressed their most glaring need. You can have Kenny Galladay, who had a good performance for the Giants, 4 catches, 64 yards. Of course, Saquon's coming back from injury. He had 10 carries, 26 yards. Again, teams like the Giants need to establish the run. You got Daniel Jones throwing the ball 37 times. You only ran it 20. I understand you were down, but you kind of got down like that. Kind of, you know, it was still time, man. Like, it's. Listen, man.
I know
Same.
it's funny. It's funny. I asked you a question about one of the players on the Giants about Nate Solder. I said, Dwayne, what is the problem? Because he was not this bad in New England. What is it coaching? You said no. It's basically scheme. Um, we know that we're familiar with the old offensive line coach who got into the fight with Joe Judge. We're familiar with Colombo, what type of scheme Colombo's going to try to run. And when Colombo got into the fight and they fired him, the Giants haven't had a line that has been blocking for 7 years. I mean,
Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
what is the issue? Is it scheme now because they have the players? I mean, they drafted Hernandez. They got road graders actually. If you really know what you're doing,
Nate Soldiers, who they spent all that money for as a left tackle, is now right tackle. And they got Andrew Thomas at left tackle, and The early returns in his career have not been great. Still time. If you look, I saw Eric Flowers out there balling today. Once he was moved into guard by a team. So
It's funny because everybody always say to me, I always say, well, Eric Flowers was a guard. They say, well, he was a tackle when he played for the team that I root for in college. I know what he was in college, but he's a guard. He doesn't have
short,
long arms.
short
He
arms.
should have always been a guard. Um, but it's just interesting because I just think the Giants, you know, they're a vet. Like I said, they're the type of team that could be really, really bad because of their offense or really, really good because of their defense. I think their defense has to carry them, like you said, play ball control, establish that
Mhm.
run, and limit Daniel Jones, which is his name, and limit his exposure. Our next game, Dwayne, we could go on to is the AFC East rivalry game, the Dolphins and the Pats. Um, Dolphins squeaked it out just like I thought, two coaches that know each other real familiar, muddy the game, ugly game. This is not the type of game that the casual fan who loves offense would have wanted to watch. Both coaches will coach close to the vest. Um, Belichick, we know, is going to coach close to the vest because of the quarterback. And Flores, as much as I like him, I don't know what he's doing with his quarterback, and it's concerning. I know that one of the guys that sometimes we listen to on the letter networks, we um we speak about uh we speak about Tua not being a captain and this that and the third. I didn't think it was no big deal, but when you told me they pulled Tua, you I
Again,
was
it wasn't as bad as it seemed because they only pulled him for a package and they brought Bissett in to run the ball twice. Um, um,
Hey James, if you don't mind, subscribe to the channel. We just started doing this. We did it on another channel a while ago. James, thanks for joining us. By the
yeah,
way, we've been doing this. Me and Dwayne been friends since sixth grade. Been talking about sports. We just started this channel, so subscribe to the channel. We've been doing this for over a year. This is our second year doing what we're
yeah,
doing now, but we actually started a channel specifically for sports. Um, We'll get to Nick Bolton in a minute because me and Dwayne both like him. So you're
love
gonna
him,
like what we're gonna say about Nick Bolton.
love him. Tua, folks, he's a game manager. He's a game manager. He is not going to beat teams in the NFL with his arm. It's just not who he is. 16 of 27 for 202 yards and a touchdown. Um, he's a game manager. I must say, I was impressed with Mac and Cheese today. 29 of 39, 281 yards and a touchdown. And in typical Bill Belichick fashion, they had the Dolphins right where they wanted them late in the game, and Damian Harris fumbled. At worst, they would have got a field goal out of that and had a lead and would have put the pressure on the Dolphins. At best, they would have scored a touchdown and went for a 2-point conversion. That fumble, that late in the game, cost them a game, and they lost by one.
Hmm.
So,
So it's
and
typical Belichick, close to the vest,
close to the
run,
back,
play solid defense.
run, play solid, decent. And the kid, Harris, had a wonderful game up until that point. 23 carries, 100 yards. He just fumbled when you cannot fumble. And that was the
Let's
name of the game.
moving on to our next game, and one team decided not to get on the plane and try to go to Jacksonville. And we don't mean the Jacksonville Jaguars because they was on the road. We talking about the Packers and the Saints. I expected a shootout because I expected Jameson Winston to do what he did today, but I did not expect the quarterback of the Packers, who has talked more shit, excuse my language,
Yeah,
than
you're
any
excused.
other player all year long, and actually shot a dud. You
Good.
can't blame Brian Balaga. You can't blame nobody. Your MVP quarterback went on the road and looked it bad.
15 to 28, 133, two interceptions, zero touchdown. Got a little glimpse of Jordan Love. It was only 7 passes, but he completed 5 of them for 68 yards. The Packers had absolutely no run game today. They only ran the ball 15 times. I know they were down, but they still only ran the ball 15 times. And hey, Jameis Winston. Now, when you look at the completions, when you look at the yardage, it'll look pedestrian. 14 to 20, 148. But hey, 5 touchdowns, folks. Big thing for Jameis, no interceptions. He was never sacked. Okay, so Kamara, 20 carries, 83 yards. Jones Jr., 11 carries, 50 yards. So this is a team that's going to build their way off their running game. 39 rushes to 21 passes. That's the type of balance that you want for Jameis. Jameis has a big arm. He has a big time arm, man. 5 touchdowns today, man.
I must admit, I'm not surprised that Jameis did this. I think that him and Sean, um, I know that he was coached by Bruce Arians before, but I think Sean will use Jameis and explain to him protective football, understanding when the window is there. And I think that Sean is going to scheme him right. Instead of Bruce, Bruce is just going to take shots with his offense. So I think Jameis has the perfect coach to coach him. I must say that this might be the worst game that Aaron Rodgers has had in his career.
Yeah, it was bad.
Um, and it's odd that he would have such a bad game. I think that we talk a lot about distractions, and I think that the team might be distracted with him, with his stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, when you keep calling the organization out for their decisions, and they brought these guys are professionals and they have pride in what they do. And when you're calling the organization out for bringing guys in, it's like you're slapping at those guys. When you telling the guys, "Oh, you need to sign Clay Matthews Jr. back, who's basically done," those linebackers is looking at the linebacker. I'm like, damn, he don't got confidence in me, And I think that that distraction is going to show throughout the year. I think that the Packers, Aaron's going to bounce back. He's not washed, I doubt very seriously. I just
Mhm.
think that they gotta understand that you're gonna have the team's best shot. You've been in the championship game the last couple of years, and people coming at y'all. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
people are not gonna take y'all. People are not gonna let you guys take them for granted. So, Dwayne, the game of the early year, um, one game that we love to talk about, and I'll put James' comment up there again. I am amazed how many times I've seen in the last 3 years teams have double digit leads on Kansas City, and I said it before when we were talking on the phone. I said they got to play aggressive, and they did, but they gave it to Chubb 3 times, and he fumbled on the third time.
Hmm.
And then once he fumbled, the momentum changed. What do you say about Patrick Mahomes in his career? He's never had a turnover in the month of September. Simply amazing. The guy just throws the football from all types of angles. The guy threw a pass today for 75-yard touchdown because he knew that the defender could not see the ball, and only him and the receiver would know what there was a bad pass. But when
Yeah.
you know the defender has his back turned, you can make that type of play. Um, Kansas City offense, well-oiled machine. Um, really, really, really. Just what do you say
And
about them?
Baker Mayfield played well today. He had a he
I'm
had
really
a big leg.
impressed with Cleveland and what they have. This is a big game for them and their program and moving forward. This is a big learning experience for Cleveland.
Sometimes, again, no moral victory. Same thing I said with my Dallas Cowboys, but the Browns are 0-1, but they can feel good about who they're going to be, who they are, and who they're going to be going forward. This may just be the class of the AFC this year rather. It was the game of the week, but this may be the class of the AFC this season. And we got it in week 1, you know. But it's back. I love it. It's my time of the year. Pretty soon it'll be hoodie season for sure. And hey man, I got football back every week till February. So in my
James
book, it's all aces.
James wanted me to talk about Nick Bolton. James, me and Dwayne are big Nick Bolton fans. Me and Dwayne we like the three linebackers coming out of this draft. We like Xavier Collins, Nick Bolton, and we like Parsons. We're both Cowboy fans. Neither one of us thought that the Cowboys would be able to get Parsons. We did think we could probably get Nick Bolton in the second round, depending on how things fan out, and things didn't fan out that way. But one thing I do love about Nick Bolton is that because they have the former Cowboy Hitchens there playing middle linebacker, Nick is allowed to play weak side. And that is perfect for Nick Bolton because he's a tackling machine.
Mm-hmm.
He's really could play like the spy and stick those backs coming out the backfield. If he's there, he's going to make the tackle. That is the thing about Nick Bolton. If he's there, he will make the tackle. If he's not there, he's not going to make it. He very rarely misses tackles. So me and Dwayne really, really, really like Nick Bolton and Xavier Collins and Micah Parsons. We got some real good young linebackers in the league.
Yeah.
Blake Martinez is a guy who I really, really like for the Giants.
I don't understand how anybody would have waited to the second round for Nick Bolton. He was a steal as a second round pick. I thought he was a definite first rounder.
Well, that about wraps it up, man. Great show, Dwayne, man. You know,
Yeah.
we'll
And
watch some of this Sunday night game.
Your boy Andy Dalton just threw a rope to convert a third down, and it's now 1st and 10 Bears at the Ram 44-yard line. And what do you know? And what do you know? They took Andy Dalton out and put Justin Fields in.
With that, we're going to see you guys next Sunday morning when we do our preview show for week 2. Pro football. Look for some things within the channel this week with some shorts and some quick hits. Maybe we'll do a show or two during the week. We'll know, like I said, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell. Make sure you hit that bell so you know what's going on.
He took him out.